And D Live is connected. All right. Let's get started with this hand-picked music right now, and I'll tell you what it is as it's starting. Cool. Will keep me on screen. Because we got to get on with this show. Nice. This is Wayfaring Stranger by Psalters again, the Christian group. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger. Very nice. And if you listen closely, you can hear the banjo. What's up, guys? It's 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. It's Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. Tomorrow's the Cinco de Mayo. See? Banjo for Skip. But it does have the African drums. It has a fiddle. This is an old folk song. Are all folk songs liberal? I don't know. This is supposedly a Christian song. Wayfaring Stranger by Psalters. Hope you like it. I do. Let me pull up the chat so I can hear what you guys are talking about. Or see what you guys are talking about. You can call in. 888-775-3773. Traveling through this world of woe. What a song. Satan's music, says Dante Goldstein. Ain't no sickness, Lord, nor danger. On this dry land I'm headed for. Let me retweet this. He's talking about God. Going to meet his father, I think. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. Sounds Jewish, says Dante Goldstein. Sounds like Celtic folk, to be honest. Or Celtic folk. Is it Celtic or Celtic? This is on 1917, the movie, Gab from Earth says. Yeah, I heard that. Not this specific version, but this song was sung on the movie 1917. I haven't watched it. Stephen Absolution says, this is great, Hake. This is white. Is that a banjo or a lute? Oh, man. You got me, Super One Flutie. It almost sounds Native American, says Based America First. By that, he means American Indian, I assume. Because we are Native Americans. We were born in this country. I was born in a struggle. I think Skip plays the harmonica, says Luis. Isn't this so nice? I'll soon be done with earthly trials. They'll lay me down in the old church yard. Wow. Morbid. It doesn't sound like JLP would sing this song, because JLP says he's living forever. Nice. Finally a decent tune, Hake, says Utopia Bear. I'm going to talk about this music thing. It seems like folk music was subversive and anti-American from the start. Even American folk music. Woody Guthrie, communist. Antifa, basically. Wow. Celtic. Thank you, Arthur, for the correction. Appreciate you, man. I do have callers calling in. People want to talk about Bill Gates getting divorced. Bill and Melinda Gates. Simp. Male feminist, is he? I have some far-left Twitter publisher headlines. Voter shenanigans. By the way, it is Asian, American, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Yikes. Drums from Africa right now, is James Howlett. Voter shenanigans, oh my gosh. Judicial work. Doing the Lord's work. Not in my world, says Chris. Is that referencing the Heritage Month? Yeah, I know. Yes, it's true. Chief Red Hair. Hey, what's up, Tay Mays? Yeah, I have Judicial Watch is exposing corruption. Collusion. Enjoy this music. It's so nice. Acapella. So good. Can I call in about Flat Earth? Sure. I may not keep you on long because I don't have much to say about it, but you can. In that bright land that I'm headed for. I'm going there to see my father. Like the prodigal son's father says he'll meet me when I come. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. And then it starts off with this. This is actually like a worship song. Like those worship songs that you sing in churches if you were going to that type of a church or chapel. We need more Extol, says Hubertus. Yes, the Christian black thrash death metal. Yeah, I like Extol. I may bring that back a little bit. Dirk Diggler says, good song. It references the Bible that says, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, than thousands elsewhere, or 1,000 elsewhere. It's a hootin' and is it hootin' and hollerin', not hoopin' and hollerin'? Yeah, I don't know what the saying is supposed to be. I think I might even hear harmonica, Skip. Sounds Polish. Anyway, guys, somebody wants to talk about the White Lives Matter guy on the line. Vaccine madness. They're pushing a lot of stuff. Cringy stuff. And I have more fake musicians to talk about. By fake, they're real musicians, but they have fake values. Liberals. Borat music. No, don't say that. You're ruining it. Beta music, says Wrestling Jesus. That may be correct. Anyway, it is 9:08 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Let's get right on with what makes a value fake. I will get to that. Freddie Kanye. I had to lean way in to read your name. Let's get right on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how are you all doing? I am fine. Jim Justice says, I definitely hear whiskey jug hootin'. Nice. And how about some good old-fashioned hymns, Hake, says Shane. Yeah, that's enough of that music. Okay, says Dane Goldstein. And I pray for Hake to play better music, says Colin Barrett. You know, that song was Wayfaring Stranger before it broke into that better is one day in your house part. Better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. Referring to God's stuff, right? That's a completely different worship song. Way better than yesterday's Snake Handler music, but it was the same group, FYI. According to Wikipedia, this song, Wayfaring Stranger, was first recorded as having been written or performed in the year 1858. That's even before, I think, the Civil War, right? Song needs more cowbell. And it was popularized or promoted big time. It was like his signature song, this folk singer, I guess you would call him, called Burl Ives. Burl Ives. From way back. 50s or so, give or take. Maybe even 40s, a little bit, not sure. Maybe even 60s. And Burl Ives was a traveling performer, musician guy. Was he a liberal? I don't know. I think he might have been. I have pictures of him. He also was an actor. I don't know. Ives. Burl Ives. And Woody Guthrie, I have a picture of Woody Guthrie in the music folder too. Woody Guthrie, I've talked about him before. His son is, or was, radical. I don't know if he's still alive. But Woody Guthrie was another folk singer guy. And I don't even think that guy was a Christian. He had on his guitar, this guitar kills fascists. From way back during World War II times, right? before World War II and during. Woody Guthrie. This machine kills fascists, referring to his acoustic guitar. Cringe. I mean, it's not maybe as cringe because it wasn't as... I don't know how trendy it was back then. But, you know, they threw around that word all the time. The disgusting... I call him disgusting because I think it might be true. President who brought in communism and socialism into the country. FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt. That guy who was reelected over and over and over and over again. To the detriment of America. Wheelchair-bound guy. He was called a fascist, but he was also called a communist. So what's that tell you? It doesn't tell you anything. People just throw around words. Woody Guthrie was a beta, says H. George, 1993. I think you might be right. Looks like Larry from the Three Stooges. Yeah. Probably not a Christian. And not having the best... But these are considered classic American folk singers. That just shows you that evil was with us from early on. Early on. And by the way, no artist is deep. They're all dumb. You know what I mean? Yeah, they make music or paintings or whatever if they're talented, that look good or sound good. But, or they're good performers or whatever. But, maybe, and that's a maybe. A big maybe. But you don't like them once they start talking. Or once you read into their lyrics what they're really trying to say. The messages are dumb. They really are. There's this guy named Tom Morello. Or Morello? Morello. Tom Morello. Who is like half Kenyan and half white or something. And he was tweeting about yesterday that CIA woman, female, Latina, Latinx. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I totally take it back. Shout out to the man from Florida who called in saying, bleep it anytime they try to say Latin bleep. Because they're trying to bring in the LGBTQIA mess. Have you ever heard of Johnny Rebel? Maybe not all of them are not deep. Yeah, from Tom Morello, exactly, from Rage Against the Machine. They are the machine, Infobomber points out. Half-breed. Kind of like Cher, and Cher is a mess too. None of them do you really want to listen to. The best you can hope for is to get a simple man. Like that one guy, and I don't know much about him, but that one guy who's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, he's a Trump supporter. I'm blanking on his name. Ted Nugent. The best that you can hope for is to get a simple man like that. I consider Ted Nugent to be a pretty simple guy. Commie Tom Morello. I think you're right, Raymond 11. And I don't think that he was the front man because that was Zach De La Roca, who was a Hispanic mixed guy too. But they're both commies. And I've come across this guy before. I might have even talked about this Tom Morello guy. But yesterday, I covered that story that JLP played on his show too, just today, of that woman, Hispanic mother. I don't know if she's a single mother. Seems like it, acts like it, talks like it. I can't imagine a man wanting to marry her and live with her. Maybe if he just didn't know better, I suppose it can happen by accident. Ted Nugent is the epitome of no depth, says Freddie Kanye. Maybe not. Doesn't have to have depth. From rage to responsibility, says Colin Barrett. Good point. Rather than rage against the machine. Because you rage against it, you become part of it. Fighting evil with evil, only evil wins. And that happens on the so-called right as well, even amongst whites. Tom Morello graduated from Harvard University. Unsurprising, honestly. So this guy, he tweeted out after liberal, really liberal, independent journalist Michael Tracy. I do consider him American, even though he has some anti sort of American values, false values. But he doesn't seem as openly subversive or as sneaky and subversive as others in the media. Am I right? I think I'm right. Michael Tracy tweeted about the CIA's ridiculous video showcasing this woman wearing a communist fist, woman power, hating the patriarchy, which is hating fathers leading or men leading, which is hating common sense and nature and nature's God. He said, the argument, of course, will be made that the CIA is only espousing what they call woke ideology, which means asleep liberals, right? Asleep liberals. If you're a communist, you're still dumb liberal, right? It's not edgy. As a cynical ploy, not because the ideology actually serves to entrench the CIA's power. Just like every other corporation and hegemonic cultural political institution. I forget what hegemony means. I think it's all one thing. I forget. All just one big coincidence. Michael Tracy makes that point. And that's true. I told you all these so-called capitalist corporations are communists. And by that, I mean they're evil. It's really good versus evil, right? We don't even have to use capitalism versus socialism versus communism versus right versus left. Some of you guys who say, oh, the right and left thing is a scam, you're right. Because look at the Republican Party. They're just endlessly caving. The party of caving to evil. And so Michael Tracy makes this point that it's not just a cynical ploy. It also serves their purposes of being fake anti-fascists, right? Anti-Trump, anti-American. See, our own American institutions, anti-American, right? Serves to entrench their own power, the CIA's power, right? And so Tom Morello, completely missing the point, this so-called rock star, I call him washed up, but he's still active. 800,000 Twitter followers, whatever that means. Communism means anti-white, says Althea Promethea. Well, anyway, Tom Morello, it's very trendy for the liberals to be snarky towards Michael Tracy because he's an actually independent guy, somewhat, even though he is a liberal. Look at this guy's Twitter profile, though. Tom Morello, Chris was just showing it to you guys. It's like, fight the power, rock the... Oh, I forgot to blank that. Rock the F out. This is a 50-something-year-old male talking like this. And he did a collaboration with P-Word Riot. Weather Strike, probably referencing the what is that thing? Climate hysteria? So anyway, this guy, he tweeted, silly me, referring to the CIA propaganda, right? Silly me, I thought the CIA was evil because their 70 years of war crimes, assassinating heads of state, torture, and crushing people's movements around the globe. And it turns out the real problem was a woke pamphlet, which completely misses the point of what Michael Tracy was saying. He said this fake ideology propaganda serves to entrench the CIA's power to do evil. But no, this guy is not on the side of good just because he opposes whatever evil the CIA may have done over 70 years. Because this woman, as JLP pointed out, does not even belong in the... Look at this CIA lady. I took a couple of screenshots. I'm not going to replay it for you. I'll spare you. But... yeah, I took the word snarky from the Brits, I guess. I didn't realize that I was doing that. Look at this woman. And she doesn't have actual courage or leadership or insight, and she's not actually fair. So they have to write it on the wall to remind them to think of themselves as that. And then she's wearing a t-shirt that says Mija, which is my daughter, which means my daughter in Spanish. But they put courage, leadership. Whose wall is that? Is that the CIA? Are they that weak and cringy? What in the world? You are worth it. Because she has to tell herself that. What are you talking about? Oops, I spit. By the way, I'm wearing a woman on my t-shirt too. Oops. I think it's Joan of Arc. I think it's a woman. And it's a band, probably another liberal band, but they're supposed to be Christian, called Woven Hand. I forget the name of the guy. But they're like an offshoot from 16 Horsepower. Some of you guys might remember. Great band, 16 Horsepower. Nice unprofessional shirt, says Subian. Not. Yeah, I know. Oh, you're referring to me or her? Both. I'm not playing CIA. I'm not playing secret agent man like she is. We are becoming the dumbest nation ever. That's true, says Danny. Yeah, those things on the walls are just bogus speech. BS, bogus speech. That's what BS stands for, people. Now you learned something new. I learned it from a JLP intern. I'm a transgendered, non-binary, ADHD, schizophrenic, bipolar, psycho, and even I can be in the CIA, says Hugh Burtis. Shout out to Facebook. Anyway, that's Tom Morello being dumb, playing dumb, and he gets all these likes from the suckers. Such communists. Ridiculous. So, I remember I took art in college, and I put out we all did like these group critiques, right? You show your work that you did, the little homework project that you did for painting class, right? And your fellow students react, and you explain what you were thinking with the thing. And so I remember explaining a painting, and I'm going to tell you what I laughed at in a second. And my friend was like, I liked it until he started talking. Because once you explain it, it's not deep, it's shallow. It's vapid, empty. And that's what these people are. Tom Mobetta. Mobetta? Yeah. Anyway, that's that for... If you can tell me a deep musician, was King David deep? He might have been deep. Because King David was a musician, right? Then you can call in and tell me, but these people are not. Neither are most of us hosts who talk. We're not deep. Probably any of us, most of us. Anyway. Let me get to Ryan in Canada. He wants to talk about this Bill and Melinda Gates. I talked to you about it in Hake News at the end of hour 2, I think. Ryan, how are you doing? It's good to hear from you.
Hey, all is well, man. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
I was just saying that I think that they divorced just because they got, obviously they've been rolling in loot, right? And now I just did a quick search and just looked at some financials just showing, because I was like, well, where does their money come from, this foundation, right? And if you just look online, it'll show you that they've split it into, the trustees have split it into two entities. One, a trust investment, where you look at the companies who have, donated or invested, I guess, since this is now a trust investment, not a it's two things now. It's two entities.
Oh, it's not just a nonprofit, it's also a trust?
Yeah, and there's trust investments coming from, to name a few, Berkshire Hathaway, Canadian National Railway. Interesting. Why would our Canadian National Railway be investing in them? Caterpillar,
wow.
FedEx. We got Walmart, Microsoft, UPS, just to name a few.
Some of the worst companies that you can think of. And I say they're the worst because these people are supporting evil. They're anti-American, anti-Trump. They kiss up to the social justice, which is anti-justice. Yeah, interesting.
Incredible. Yeah, and then they donate to the World Health Organization, whatever, a ton of cash, $50 million, I think.
Wow.
Last year. But,
they don't deserve any money. That's a communist organization, the World so-called Health Organization.
Yeah,
globalist, socialist.
Yeah. You can kind of, if you just do a little looking, you just get the truth is in the results, right? The truth is not I believe the truth is not our opinion of it. It's what you can see and what's happening.
Yeah.
I think we get we get egotistical sometimes. I know I do when I try and speak the truth as opposed to just seeing it,
Yeah.
Just like seeing the lie, seeing the truth, whatever.
People say follow the money. And money is a great motivator for a lot of people. And it may have more of a point than I give them. I just can't really relate to that for some reason, at least at this point in my life.
I think, too, when you say things like you kind of go after, like, socialist, all these different labels, right? But I think, like, the big one to look at is that the country essentially is a company, you know, where they call a delivery room because you're delivering a package, a good,
and not a moral company, an immoral company.
Of course, an immoral company, because and you can see it again, like the cast of spells, right? Like, you bring a product onto this planet, you certify it in the hospital, a certificate of authenticity, if you will, for the product that came through the delivery room.
Yep.
You know, it's all there. The numbers, the words are all there. They won't let you leave until you give me the name of that thing, because that thing's going to make us money. It's like, that's the real top, above all the socialists or this.
Right.
You know, we have to be able to be aware of, again, the numbers, and even the fact that you have a piece of paper that's called a certificate with your given name. It's hilarious. You know, this kind of stuff, I think we need to be more aware and not even take that stuff personally, because all this other stuff that is causing the havoc is, in my opinion, like below that, you know, top.
Yeah,
top
people
thing, you know?
people call into my show and talk about how the banks are controlling everything and the central banks this and that. It is that, but think about what controls you. It is money to a point. Like, money limits you, it motivates you in many ways sometimes, but also pride, power a little bit, this want for freedom to move about and stuff, and ego, big time. Because people get caught up in some ideology or other, and doesn't matter how much money they lose or time they waste or lives they kill to get that ego thing to happen. Kind of like with seeing JLP made the great point probably a few months ago that these so-called leaders get an ego trip out of seeing you wear a mask because they mandated it, so they had an influence on the world. They saw an impact on the world, and they get an ego rise out of seeing you wear a mask and follow their dumb rules. I think that's true.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're the dealer of fear, and they love it when you overdose on fear. Yeah. That's pretty much the way it is. They're the fear dealers. You talk about all the different types of dealers.
For sure.
I mean, it's obvious that they're fear dealers. Look at every news. It's of almost, we've said it's of value to be afraid of things. How is that possible? The saber-toothed tiger ain't chasing you around no more.
You know what's funny? And then they turn around and accuse us of fear-mongering for not wanting to necessarily take the vaccine if we're healthy and we see that there are risks involved. It's not fully tested and stuff. They accuse us of fear. Oh, vaccine hesitancy is destroying the economy. No, your communist shutdown, your evil shutdowns, egotistical shutdowns are destroying it. It's the vaccines.
I got a new ism.
All right.
Vaxxism. It means hating someone whether they take a vaccine or not.
Interesting.
Vaxxism.
All right. Nice to hear from you, Ryan.
Much love. I hope you have a great show, Hake.
Appreciate it, man. All right.
Peace.
Take care. Elon Musk can't do it all alone. Help him expand the space age by making more white baby engineers. You can do it, Skater Christ, a.k.a. Chris, and Lord Good Hair, too. That's Lin Yen Chin over on Trovo.live with a colorful chat. If you don't know how to do a colorful chat, sign up for Trovo.live and ask the chat how to do a colorful chat or a super cap. Because I don't know how to do it. To this day. I'm remedial on Trovo. But be patient.
To this day,
I am remedial on Trovo. Colored on the inside. Okay. He made a good point about this money stuff, power. They like playing people like puppets. What a shame. Did I miss any other super chats, guys? Let me know. And I will check it out. By the way, I did have a couple of super chats way over at, what time is it, 9:30? At midnight, give or take. Peter from Periscope. I don't know where in the world Peter from Periscope lives, but gave me a super chat while I was off air. You can do that on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Peter from Periscope with a generous super chat. Donation message, right? Says, I recommend the viewers, if they have a guest suggestion, DM James Anton Hake on Twitter. Oh, okay. Yeah, that may work. He's there battling Satan's spawn 7 days a week. Well, I try to take Saturdays off. You may or may not notice, but yeah, I like to take my Sabado. And it's not necessarily, it's a Christian thing. It seems like a nice break, honestly. Based AF, but thank you, yeah, James Anton Hake, I do check those DMs, and I'm even more faithful about that than the Hake Report DMs. Apologies, guys, but it's just reality. I don't really check the IG that much. Maybe I'm getting better, but I'm spread pretty thin. Yeah, you can DM me. And I do check the message requests, too. I've started to get a lot better, just in the past month or two or few. So there are a lot of old DMs that I haven't gotten to. Just send a new one if you really need to get a hold of me. But don't abuse it. Don't be like Tony from California sending like 40 emails in the span of 5 minutes. That's psycho. I may block you. It's not personal, but I may block you if you go a little too crazy. Just be considerate. Based AF, Based America First, gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. And I feel like I'm having a lisp when I say that, because the line is, may the Force be with you, which is a false imitation of Christianity. A lot of Christians liked Star Wars because there were some parallels that, this seems sort of Christian friendly, and it doesn't have a lot of sex and cussing and blood and guts. So this is a Christian friendly movie, Star Wars, from the 80s, right? It wasn't so feminist back then. It was feminist, though, if you think about it. But it was considered a Christian friendly movie. I remember watching it at a Christian camp, summer camp thing, I think. But thank you. Thank you, Based America First. Yes, that is certain donut shops, I've heard, are giving out stuff if you have Star Wars paraphernalia that you want to wear at, for example, I'm blanking on the name of it. It's probably better that I don't even mention it because some enemies may try to hate them. And they have nothing to do with my politics, just FYI. Either for or against, honestly. They're just a donut shop. Based AF, Based America First says Biden announces tax increases on the wealthiest Americans. Bill and Melinda Gates file for divorce. Convenient? Good point. Good point. Star Wars is why y'all believe in space. SMH. Says the earth is flat. Star Wars episodes 1 through 6, it's okay. The big picture message of it, says Joseph Gergelix. Yeah, the great, before I get back to calls, the great, what's that guy's name? Owen Schroyer of Infowars.com refers to JLP as Black Yoda because JLP is, one, pretty deep, like Yoda is supposed to be deep, or he's just about truth and real and you can't fluster him because he doesn't have anger. And number 2, he's funny. JLP is funny. And number 3, he's older than most of us. JLP would be like, your mama. Yes, she is older than most of us too. But she may be among you, and you don't know it. But I saw a quote, and shout out to Bubs Love. He shared this quote that said something like, fear fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to destruction or something like that. That's some quote, right? From Yoda, which is worldly false wisdom, I think, because JLP says it the other way around. And I think that he may be Writer? He may be right. He says anger leads to fear, not fear leads to anger. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And don't you know, I think it's true. For example, I was traumatized when I went to Beverly Hills Park and got yelled at by the mask commies. I almost called them mask Nazis, but they're commies. Mask commies. Evil people. And so I was so traumatized, I didn't even want to go there anymore. But I got mad, and then I was afraid. See, anger leads to the fear, not the other way around. Didn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? If you pay attention, it's true. You don't want to see the evil in yourself, reacting to the evil in others, overreacting. It's a fact. Check into it. Yoda is fat, says Ragtag Army. JLP is. They all lead to each other, says Red Pill XX. Interesting, James, says Eric. Thank you, man. So, man, it's getting hot in here. Some little ethnic child gave a super chat and said, I love when Maze calls. Somehow it always brightens my day. She's all, hello, James. That's Maze. I'm just marvelous, she says. Marvelous as always. Y'all check about yourselves. Y'all need to look at yourselves and see what y'all do. I'm imitating Maze. Because anytime the whites are talking about blacks, she's like, y'all need to talk about yourselves. Y'all Caucasians. I'm like, what? You need to check your negroids. Anyway, I was chuckling because Malkuth X says, Hake is like the substitute teacher, and YouTube chat is like a 9th grade classroom. Yeah. About to catch a strike for that one. Which one? What did I do? Negroids. Oh, yeah. My bad. You're still human. I wasn't saying anything bad, I don't think. Anyway, let me get to Jason in Long Island, New York. He has a question about devil music. What's up, Jason? How are you doing?
Hey, James. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago during the break hour, you put like some rock music. I was so surprised about it. So
yeah. 2 weeks ago, let's see, would that have been like Soul Junk?
I'm not sure, but yeah, I was like, what is this? Am I on the wrong channel or what?
I know, it throws you off a little bit because you're not used to seeing it. But I'm developing a reputation for playing perhaps slightly off-putting music, Christian music from 20-some years ago, give or take, that I used to listen to.
Wait, that was Christian music?
Yeah, every song that I have played has been purportedly Christian music. It might have been Extol. Sometimes, did you say rap music or rock music?
No, it was rock. It was
okay.
Some devilish music, remember?
Oh, okay, yeah, it would have been Extol. Devilish music.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, non-whites call death metal rock music. That's true.
It's a catch-all.
Yeah, it is a catch-all.
So yeah, I thought you like that music, so I was, gonna tell you to put like this song called "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Oh, yeah.
Looking for a soul yeah, you know that one, right?
Is that from Charlie Daniels, or is it just a folk song that many people have played?
No, it's from Charlie Daniels, but I like the cover from Guitar Hero 3, So cool, so... Yeah, so
who covered it for Guitar Hero 3?
I don't know, but you should listen to it. Yeah, it's from Charlie... What's it called? Charlie Daniels?
Yeah, Charlie Daniels. The late, great Charlie Daniels, who has been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show at least once before, by the way.
He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show?
Yeah.
Wow.
When I was first producer, the prior producer, now with the producer for the Fallen State, Kelly, got me in touch with the contact that she was in touch with in order to get Charlie Daniels on the show. So I got Charlie Daniels on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, probably late 2013, early 2014. He was talking about Obama. He died just a year ago, or maybe max 2 years ago. But that was a true American, okay? So, Ted Nugent, Charlie Daniels. Charlie Daniels, solid guy.
Yeah, you should put his song like at least once during the hour break.
That's a cool idea.
The Guitar Hero version, the cover one. That's so cool. Okay,
right on.
Just that then.
Yeah,
So,
it reminds me of the 90s when I was in high school. They started coming out with what they called rock en español. And they spelled it R-O-Q-U-E. Rock en español. Which was Spanish rock.
Yeah.
And it was interesting.
James, thank you for picking up my call.
All right, thank you, Jason. Good to hear from you. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Very nice. Okay, so I have a few headlines for you guys. Guitar Hero 3 was amazing, says Tom New. I didn't play those games. I took 2, 3, 5 maybe in my lifetime guitar lessons. I took not a bunch, but a few drum lessons from my sister-in-law, actually. And I learned saxophone in school, 7th and 8th grade. And I took piano lessons forced on me as a child by my mother. I had to do piano lessons with a female teacher and then later a male teacher. A friends of the family. And that's that. Yeah, okay, maybe Charlie Daniels died just 6 months ago or so. It's like a metal version of Charlie Daniels. I wonder who did it. Caller is MS-13. No, he's not, man. Well, he could be, but I don't think so. Anyway, some Twitter headlines for you. The far-left publisher, they're not a platform. They pretend to be a platform. They let you have a little bit of, be in a little sandbox. But if you get outside of the sandbox, they kick you off or they censor you. And Trump thinks too far outside of the box, and so they kicked him out. Many of you guys too outside the box, and so they kick you out. Twitter, far left publisher, not a platform. Enemies of America, right? Reporting from Mexico, a rail overpass collapsed. That is like a train. A train was crossing over like a bridge, right? An overpass is when it passes a bridge over the street, over another street, right? And it collapsed. Something like, I don't know how many people killed, 23 plus, injured like 36 or 40 or something like that. Maybe more than that, I don't know. But it was a crazy situation. Apparently it occurred last night, late last night. And it just makes me wonder about the engineering nowadays, the shoring up of things. You hear about these nuclear meltdown things. Fukushima, what's that one? Chernobyl, and all of those. From what I understand, these disasters that take place that kill many people, leave them injured or sick or exposed to dangerous substances, a lot of times it's by incompetence or not maintaining, not taking care of this stuff. We have a so-called drought, or we have had off and on throughout my lifetime, probably most of my life, off and on. Drought in California, due in part to the failure of the mostly liberal governors, including the so-called Republicans. But they do not shore up we could have things called reservoirs. Reservoirs is where you store water, and you can build up the reservoirs, and then you don't have a problem. But we don't plan ahead, and then we say, oh, it's climate change. Give me a break. Men are supposed to conquer the land, subdue the land, as JLP says. Jesse Lee Peterson. Oh, no, it's also in the Bible. I think JLP might say it, but it's in the Bible. It's a fact. So, crazy. And people die. Planet is 70% water. California still blows it. Interesting point. Wipe out Corona. Look at the picture. I think I put it in the folder. It's a huge jumble. Railroad overpass, Mexico collapse. Railroad overpass is what it's called. And you see this picture. It's just shocking. It's turned into a V. It's supposed to be a bridge, and it just collapsed. Yikes. That was from Reuters. It's a Reuters photograph. Terrible. And then there's a huge crowd. What is everybody doing out at night? There's like too many people. That's not all emergency workers. Maybe it's the family of people on the train. Terrible mess. Meanwhile, in America, another poorly run, socialist, corrupt country. Thank you to the people. People love watching train wrecks. Yeah, that is true. Rubbernecks. Anytime there's a freeway accident, people slow down and look, take pictures. It's true. They call them rubbernecks because they keep on looking away. There's a whole lot of this vaccine hype. And you heard the caller who talked about the Bill Gates and these organizations. They push money and fear. They control you with fear a lot. Vaccine hype. This is talking about herd immunity. Herd immunity, right? That's when we just let the virus run its course, because that's what viruses do. They spread. That's why it's called something going viral. You know, when a meme goes viral, it's because it's spreading like wildfire. Exponentially. That's what viruses are supposed to do. Human viruses, right? Or anti-human viruses. Whatever this China virus, communist virus supposedly is, right? While the U.S. may not reach herd immunity, reads this headline. And it has a picture of a woman with hoop earrings inside of her scrubs or whatever you call these things. Experts say vaccinations could make the China virus a manageable threat. The failing New York Slimes, I'd add, reports that reaching herd immunity in the U.S. is unlikely due to increasing variants, mutations, and so-called vaccine hesitancy. That's a buzzword to shame and blame you for something that's not your fault. However, the health experts, you should never listen to experts, at least you can listen, but don't heed them necessarily, are hopeful the virus can be contained with vaccinations and a return to normal life is on the horizon. See, that's just all propaganda, pushing the vaccines like mad. And I'm not against people who want to get them. There was a young man who got one, who calls into my show. Well, his mother wanted him to, and he was fine with it. But all this, look at this COVID anxiety syndrome. And syndrome? They call it a syndrome. This is a far-left foreign outlet called The Telegraph. COVID anxiety. That's the China virus anxiety. And you know why? Because, one, women are more susceptible to this virus. Did you know that? And they are more susceptible to the negative effects of the vaccine. Did you know that? Well, you know what? Men might die more, but women have a tougher time with it, I guess. And I think it's partly because they worry. They worry, they're subject to fear, they're subject to propaganda, much more so than men are, including even some of the weakest men. COVID anxiety syndrome. And The Telegraph has this big old thread. The Telegraph is a foreign outlet. Far left, enemies of America. They're British, I think. Is it still called foreign if you're British? I consider it foreign now because I don't even think the old school Brits recognize Britain as Britain anymore. You know what I mean? Even the liberal guy, what's that guy who's cringy, hates guns, he wants to violate our Second Amendment? Piers Morgan. That guy doesn't even recognize his own country anymore because that liberal Meghan Markle woman, she's smearing his queen. What a simp. But yeah, the Brits, the old school Brits, even the cringy liberals. They don't even recognize their own country. It's kind of what they get, honestly. But the Telegraph is saying, we're beating the virus, yet many have been left with a chronic fear of reintegrating. And you see all these people to this day wearing the masks outside, all by themselves, maybe walking their dog or with their husband or whatever.
To this day.
And the husband's wearing a mask too because he's kissing up to the wife. Lockdown is easing and life is inching back to something more like normality, says the Telegraph, which I don't know for sure because other countries are having problems. Like I've heard India has a lot of problems with this thing right now. But people are now suffering with what has been termed COVID anxiety syndrome. And they have this whole thread. And so people are running away from the scared shadow of the rise of COVID anxiety. Vaccinated, but you still won't go out? Shows the graphic. And it has a male and a female running away, all scared, from a monster-looking virus shadow on the streets of London. Ridiculous. But it's because it was hyped. You guys, the media, hyped this thing like people even accused me of spreading fear just because I was reporting about it way back in December, January, or whenever it was starting to come into vogue to talk about this thing a year ago, right? Of 2020. December 2019 is when I first started hearing about it, I think. January 2020, I started hearing and mentioning it in Hake News, and people are like, James is spreading fear. No, I wasn't spreading. I didn't feel anything about it, and I didn't expect anybody who I was talking about it, any of you, to be scared by it. I was just acknowledging this. It can be serious for some. If this thing is even like what they're saying. Some say it's just the flu, bro. Which the flu is nothing to sneeze at, as President Trump said. Man, it is hot in here. Can we get some AC? It's miserable. Whole lot of hot air coming out of my mouth. I guess that's what's going on. Let me get to a caller or two. We're in the last 5-6 minutes of the first hour. Thank you. I saw the lights dim. Shout out, man. You're a lifesaver, buddy. Nicolas with the save. It's pretty hot, huh? Brutal. Benny is I have another song for you guys, by the way. And I think you will like it. Yes, we are #blessed. I can feel the fresh AC already. Benny is a first-time caller out of Toronto, Canada. Benny, it's good to hear from you. Thank you for calling.
Mr. Hake, how are you doing, sir?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good.
Nice.
So you're talking about the vaccine.
Yeah.
So I got the shot the other day.
By force or by choice? By pressure? Did you have outside pressure or you wanted it?
No, so how it is that for my workplace, they kind of like, if you don't get it, which is fine, but you might not be employable to certain things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
there's certain things they don't want you to do if you're not so-called vaccinated.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So like you can. So yeah, by like, yeah, you can't take it, but again, you're not going to be doing what you'd like to do,
right,
or going to the next level. So I got it. I got the, I don't know if I can say it, Moderna.
Okay. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 42.
And are you kind of fat or unhealthy at all?
No, I'm a healthy guy.
Nice. Did you suffer at all?
Yeah, so you get the sore shoulder, you get a bit of a fever. That's what I got.
Yeah.
And then muscle aches was just pretty bad. Kept me in bed for at least a full day.
Okay.
So that was my symptoms, and a bit of a headache.
Yeah.
So that was like the normal thing. They give you a list of all the things you can and can't get.
Was that after both doses you got this symptom?
No, so the second dose is supposed to be coming in about a couple months. So after 28 days, you can get the second dose.
Oh, okay.
And you got to get it within a period of time. So let's say 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Because if you go past that time, it's possible that you might have to take both shots again.
Oh, man.
So a lot of people aren't going to take this. Like, people I know will not take the second shot because of the symptoms that they got the first time around.
Yeah.
And it's also, I don't know, again, if you're a conspiracy theorist and say the microchip or the mark of the devil, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I got a little one, so I kind of just said if I go, at least my work is the one that injected me, and he's going to be a rich kid, I guess, growing up.
Oh, because you can sue your work? But are they even liable? I don't know, man. Is it known?
Yeah.
Is it known whether the first or second shot produces worse reaction? You know, the side effects. Are the side effects worse with the first one or the second one? Have you heard anything about it?
Well, I think the second one's supposed to be a booster. So a lot of people have been getting, like, I know a couple firefighters that I've gotten really sick the second time around.
Oh, wow.
Like, I think it took out their whole, it took a few of them out for the second shot, that booster shot.
Yeah.
So this is going to, they said the second one's get worse symptoms.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll have to wait and see.
I know a man who says that he got the Pfizer one, which I think is 2 as well. But he says that he did like some push-ups and things, got really active right afterwards because he's like, I want to get this thing through my system as fast as possible so I don't suffer the side effects. And he suffered minimal side effects from it. I mean, he did suffer a little bit. Like he felt like an upset stomach or whatever, and maybe something else. And but that only lasted less than 24 hours, and it was cleared up. And I don't think that he was bedridden or anything. And other people, he's the one who I heard say that women sometimes have a worse reaction to it.
Yeah, it could be. That's the thing, too. So next time, that might be the thing to do is get active and kind of, just like with any kind of cold or flu.
Yeah.
You know, keep yourself active and, I guess, right fluids and whatnot. You can kind of keep the symptoms down a bit.
Yeah.
Because it will hit you pretty hard because everybody's got different stories of the reactions to it.
Yeah.
And if you're not active, maybe weight could be a big thing, too, as well. And it keeps them bedridden.
So those two change your DNA, right? It's called mRNA, right? It modifies your RNA or DNA or something like that?
There's something like that. I heard all kinds of stories. Somebody I know just talked about it now. They got Bell's palsy.
Whoa.
I've never heard of. Yeah, like that. I don't know if you know what Bell's palsy is. I'm not sure too much about it, but the way that they described it, it wasn't good. Right? And that was the second shot.
It's called idiopathic facial paralysis, and it has this picture of this woman like this. Like one side of your face is all messed up.
Right. So apparently and this is somebody they know. It's like a family member of theirs, and we talked about half hour ago, and that was the second shot that they got. Now that could be an underlying issue, but it did cause that in them, and something with their hands too. Their hands got kind of messed up.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not like against it or for it, but people gotta be careful what they're putting inside their bodies. Right?
Yeah.
This thing is pretty new, right? You have like all these companies coming out, and Johnson & Johnson has just been removed off the shelves or whatever it is because they're causing all those blood clots and all that stuff. And
Trump said, did he say that Johnson & Johnson's response was was done for politics? I think he said that because the government was taking the side of Pfizer because Pfizer, allegedly, it's rumored, Pfizer withheld so-called positive information about the development and success of the vaccine creation until after the election because they didn't want to help Trump with the election. And so they waited like almost 30 days before the election in order to, like, several days after the election, after it was decided that Joe Biden had won, they decided, this is fine. Supposedly they didn't want to influence the election, even though Trump held up his promise to get it ready, because a lot of boomers want this thing.
Right. I remember
Yeah.
when Trump was in office, like, yeah, we're pushing it out. I'll have it by such and such time. It's going to be the fastest people seen. It's going to be ready to go. And, yeah, why not hold it for the election?
Yeah.
And then give it to the new president and say, oh, he's the one that did it. He's the one that advocated it and got it going.
Right.
And people should know that's not the truth because the videos show before Trump was out of office, even here in Canada, you would see Trump said, yes, we're going to do this. We're working hard. We're going to be the fastest and all this great stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like people forget as soon as Biden comes in. It's like, no, this is all Biden's doing. It's like, no, that's not correct.
You know, they're saying that that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are 99.5 or 95 or something like that % effective. And that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is only 66.7% effective. But the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was only tested with the mutation, you know, the so-called variants.
Right.
And the other ones have not been, or at least to my knowledge, haven't really been tested against the variants as much. So those may not be as effective as people are thinking. What a mess.
It's big time. Can I just give a shout out to some people?
Yeah.
Quickly. So just to yourself, to Niner 3000.
Yeah.
Jeanette Korzenko, Phil Starr, I think Brandon. Who else? I'm trying to think of the old school people there. Fran. Who else? So many people. I can't remember them all, but just all the old school crew. Because I've been listening to you from a couple of years now.
Nice.
Yeah, you're still doing it, my friend. Doing good. Trevor Wesley, shout out to him. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, I know Joel's not there anymore. I was away for a bit. I'm seeing new faces in the moderators and whatnot. But
Yeah.
just shout out to everybody. Hopefully they're good. Hopefully this thing, I don't know. Again, I'm not an advocate for the vaccine. I did it for a work reason.
Yeah.
I was against it just because the new government, we're a liberal government here in Canada as well.
That's for sure.
And they're not really trustworthy. You know what I mean? Like they seem like they have a very different agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I see in America they make everything about race.
Yeah.
So it's again dividing the country into whatever left and right. And even though one side, like the right, is showing good promise, Trump is doing amazing things, and then the left comes in and takes away stuff like pipelines that ruin places here in Canada too. That would have helped so many jobs, helped so many people, but they just said Biden and them just said no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And this is just more and more stuff. The fracking and all that crazy stuff, and they made it a race issue. They made Trump the biggest racist, and that's not true. I'm a black guy.
Nice.
Black.
Are you an immigrant, or do you have a lot of ancestors going up generations? Out of curiosity.
Well, I came from South America.
Oh,
So
okay.
I came up here as a young kid.
Okay.
And so I'm not. My kids are the first generation Canadians.
Yeah.
But I got my Trump T-shirts. I order my stuff online, get it sent here.
Nice.
Always look at me a little bit weird. But because again, we're very liberal out here.
Yeah.
But I just see, I kind of break it down and see from the outside, and with all this back and forth stuff, and just the race issue is a massive thing, and it's allowing people.
It's so phony too. Benny,
it's so phony.
are
So
you
phony.
going to be able to make it down to the men's conference mid-August in Orlando, Florida?
Well, if they allow me to travel,
Okay.
that would be great. That's the thing, right? So
Yeah.
maybe this shot will help me be able to travel with no problem.
Right. But Brandon M says, sorry, caller, you are a female now because it changed your DNA.
Well, let me look. No, I think I'm still good.
All right, Benny, appreciate you, man. We'll talk.
All right, take care.
All right, you as well. Guys, we are at 10:05 a.m. here in Los Angeles. I will read more of your super chats, and I have more stuff to get to. I want to talk about these voter shenanigans. They're just pulling stuff. It's ridiculous. And I have a little minor correction on a voter fraud incident or two that took place over in PA, I think. And, of course, Here is another song from Psalters, purportedly a Christian song. This one is, I think you'll enjoy it. It has a little bit of harmonica, based, or maybe not so based, because a whole lot of harmonica players are liberals. This is called Dumpster Divers. It's a live performance from Psalters. Enjoy, and I'll be right back for the rest of Hour 2. Hope you enjoyed that song, guys. I know some of you didn't. Love this, says Danny D9 Duncan. What the in the H word is this? Asks Colin Barrett. Pass the moonshine, Subianat says. This is what 40-year-old white people listen to, guys. Chill. Wow, Raphael, that's cold. Knee-slapping music, says Jack Gaddis. I agree. What's this? This stinks, says Butch Basham. But he doesn't say stinks, he says the other word. You can't say S-U-C-K-S. This is a children's-friendly show. Smoking meth in the middle of the barn, says Malkuth X. Wow, that's anti-white. Dog whistles. Dog whistles. Might as well be a bullhorn, Joe Biden might say. This sounds like the ending of some SpongeBob SquarePants. Don't admit that you ever watched that, Red Pill XXX. Cousin loving music. Wow. I don't like these dog whistles to smear in the awesome rednecks. Sounds like drunken Southern whiskey song. Come now and join the feast. Jaw harp and harmonica? Asks Based America First. I think so, yeah. And it's called Dumpster Divers, which adds odd, strange context to it because they're talking about come now and join the feast from the greatest to the least. You know, some of those Christians, these more hippie Christians, if you will, liberals, they were actually nomads. This group, Psalters, lived as nomads for 5 years, never went home, never had a home. 5 years. That's not that long, but it's pretty long. And I think they might have been dumpster divers. There was this group called Me Without You. Anybody remember Me Without You? All one word? Capitalized Y in the U? Me Without You. I think it's supposed to be Me Without You, God type of thing. And that front man, he was like Messianic Jew or Persian or something. He was a dumpster diver, I heard, was the rumor. And so he would go and, I guess it's not stealing, he would get food out of the dumpster that was dumped out behind restaurants, I guess. Seems like a risk, am I right? A risk. But people do it. And it's kind of anti-gun, too. Cops and soldiers you can come to. Just lay down your guns and come on through. Rich people, get rid of your store. And poor people, there will be more. Wow. But anyway, I think it's a nice, bouncy, fun song. Hope you enjoyed it, some of you. Or you enjoyed making fun of me over it. I have more calls to get to, but I want to tell you guys about this interesting story, courtesy of Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch. Most lawyers are liars and they're evil. I don't think that's the case with Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch, I believe they represented JLP. Larry Klayman? I think Larry Klayman might have founded it. JLP when he was assaulted, allegedly, by the sleazy Jesse Jackson so-called family. What a mess. Years back, 20 years ago, give or take. Well, they've been on the case, talking to, doing, investigating the deep state and investigating shenanigans and collusion between our corrupt government and our corrupt corporations. Evil corporations. Big tech, as some might call it, which I don't really like the term, but they are evil. Iowa officials, this is a headline from the Epoch Times. Iowa officials coordinated with so-called big tech to censor election posts and posts on social media, right? Facebook. They even tried to do it with Twitter. Far left enemies of America, Twitter. Facebook is similarly enemies of America. And they promoted every idiot to vote, too, by the way. And the underlying subconscious message was vote against Trump. Because Trump was tough and he was for what's right, and they're not for what's right. Judicial Watch's claim that Iowa officials coordinated with big tech. Iowa is where the great Congressman Steve King was elected over and over again. A pro-Western civilization man. And he was smeared by his own party, the Republicans. Well, Judicial Watch's claim that Iowa so-called officials, actually he was voted out now. They primaried him, including the sleazy RNC, Republican National Committee, anti-Republican National Committee, really. Judicial Watch's claim about this censorship, this collusion and censorship, is based on 624 pages of records that it received from the Office of the Secretary of State of Iowa as a result of a June 2020, 9 months ago? Open records lawsuit. No, 10, 11 months ago? Wow. These records are yet another example of state officials conspiring with big tech to deny Americans their First Amendment rights. That's partly why I don't really put a lot of faith in battling in the courts. Yes, it's good to battle in the courts, but battle in the spiritual world. I was going to say battle on the streets, but I'm not talking about and beating up Antifa or defending yourself against Antifa. I think that's foolishness for the most part. Unless you just happen to be on the street and they just attack you. Of course, defend yourself. But I'm talking about be wise and smart and honest in your life, right? Anyway, because there are ways to win without having to go to court in many cases. But I like these guys. They try to do a good job, I think. These records are yet another example of state officials conspiring, yet another example, because there are more, conspiring with so-called big tech to deny Americans their First Amendment rights. That's what Tom Fitton said. He's the Judicial Watch president right now. He said that in a statement. And it's not the only state. Iowa, which some of you guys only hear about every 4 years when the Iowa caucus, right? They're the first, something like that. Judicial Watch released records on April 27th, like a week ago, right? Something like that, showing that the California Secretary of State, corrupt, and the Biden campaign and big tech coordinated. Collusion. It's not just the foreigners. It's not even primarily the foreigners that we have to concern ourselves with. Coordinated to censor some social media posts about the 2020 election. Interesting. These records further show big tech censorship is a government scandal. Iowa government officials worked with Facebook to remove posts they didn't like, and Facebook bowed to the political pressure immediately. It should be disturbing to all Americans that government officials, this is what Tom Fitton is saying. He's that buff guy who goes on Sean Hannity's show, I think, if you guys ever watch Fox News. But you might see him on Twitter if you ever go on Twitter. Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. It should be disturbing to all Americans, government officials working to censor speech they disagree with, and that these behemoth companies, that means huge companies, that you have no recourse if you're wronged by them. By the way, that's another problem with these monopolistic type of companies, or whatever you want to call them. Often seem willing to roll over and censor free speech. Kevin Hall is a communications director for the Iowa Secretary of State. He emailed a Facebook official named Rachel Holland on February 3rd of 2020, over a year ago, asking for help with a Judicial Watch post they deemed false, according to records released by Judicial Watch. Holland responded within an hour that Facebook had applied a filter over the content, warning users before they click to see that the content had been rated false by independent fact checkers. Yeah, right. Independent fact checkers means liberals. And it wasn't even true because it was pushed. Well, maybe she reached out to independent fact checkers and said, hey, is this true? And then the fake independent fact checkers that are anti-Trump and anti-American liberals colluded too. May well have happened. A couple of hours later, Hall contacted Holland again, saying the Judicial Watch have new posts up, doubling down on the false claims. Holland responded, Facebook had a full team with eyes on this now, applying the false filter to similar articles as well. Wow. Corruption. Thank you, Judicial Watch, for exposing this madness. Never mind that it's like almost a year and a half later, but better late than never, especially if it's not 100 years later, right? I'm chuckling because they're finally admitting that Armenians suffered a genocide and nobody but the worst people are in on it, right? Hall also filed a report with Twitter trying to censor the same post on Twitter, Judicial Watch. Twitter declined to do so. Maria Benson is the director of communications for the National Association of Secretaries of State, joined the effort, and Kevin Kane from Twitter urged Kevin Kane from Twitter to take it down. Kane declined. Because sometimes these people try to maintain some measure of responsibility. Saying the post is not in violation of our election integrity policy, does not suppress voter turnout or mislead people about when, where, or how to vote. So he emailed a whole bunch of other people. Department of Homeland Security's Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency, also known as CISA. The CISA, C-I-S-A. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. That's that group, I think, that has Dominion and Dominion voting systems and that other one, Smartmatic, on their board, asking him to report the issue to Twitter. Scully promised to contact Twitter. Sorry, been out of pocket. We'll reach out to Twitter. Let me know if you get something. It was a statement made by Judicial Watch that they wanted to take down. Judicial Watch had said 8 Iowa counties had registration rates of more than 100% of the voting age population. Wow. More than 100% turnout? Based on data provided by Iowa to the Federal Election Assistance Commission, EAC. Paul Pate is the Iowa Secretary of State, and Judicial Watch sparred over the claim at the time. They were disputing it with each other. Pate's a so-called Republican. He said in a statement the Judicial Watch's claim was deeply flawed and patently false. Rhinos. That's my suspicion. Iowa population was greatly underestimated based on data reported by the U.S. Census Bureau. Interesting. Why would it be greatly underreported, underestimated? Immigration? I don't know. Judicial Watch responded the next day saying it's shameful that Pate is misleading Americans and state residents about the accuracy of Iowa's registration rolls. Tom Fitton, told the Epoch Times at the time that the EAC, that Election Assistance Commission, data is a gold standard, and Judicial Watch had successfully used analyses of EAC data in several lawsuits in other states. The Epoch Times reached out to the Iowa Secretary of State office. Nothing. CISA, too? Nothing. CISA is the group that said the 2020 election was the most secure in American history. Yeah, right. That's such a lie. Because look, our own country's integrity is not the most secure in American history. It's the least. We have how many millions of illegals? They keep on saying 11 million. Some say 1.1, 11. That sounds like a small number. Rather than 30 or 99. However many it is, right? It's crazy. Minor correction on my voter shenanigans story from the end of the second hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson show. I had said some guy from Delaware. There were two women, right? Two women voted on behalf of their dead mothers. Their mothers died before the election, right? In like September of 2020. And so in October of 2020, they forged their mother's name and voted for whoever. One's a Democrat, one is supposedly a Republican. A whole lot of Republicans betrayed, especially females, betrayed the country and Trump, right? So who knows who they voted for, but one can only guess. Well, there was also a male, and I said it was a Delaware man. It was actually a Delaware County man. Purportedly, I guess that's in PA. Bruce Bartman, age 70, apologized to Common Pleas Court Judge Richard Capelli during a hearing on April 30th, saying he made a stupid mistake when he illegally cast a mail-in ballot for his deceased mother. So a dude did it too, a mama's boy. Shameful. So it was not a Delaware man, it was a Delaware County. And I guess that's PA. I'm not even going to bother looking into it, but it's... Because these people are talking about... If these old ladies, and these were ladies who were doing this, they were caught recently. Danielle Elaine Donner, age 56, of Buckingham, PA, I think. And Melissa Ann Fisher, age 51, of Quakertown, PA. Quaker is a reference to those Christians who would quake. I went to a Quaker church for a while, Friends Church, but they were not the liberal kind. They were conservatives. Most of them are liberals because I think they're pacifists. But this was a conservative guy that I was going to his church. Solid guy, right on. They were charged in relation to the alleged mail-in ballot violations, voting on behalf of their dead mothers, misguided. Those are Gen X, young boomer, old Gen X. 56, that's probably maybe boomer, maybe. But Gen X. Ladies who should have integrity, and a 70-year-old male, Bruce Bartman. Voting on behalf of their dead mothers. Shameful. But the secretary, the DA, I guess, DA said, it's not evidence of widespread or systemic election fraud here in the Bucks County. So I feel like I have to tell you that, lest I get censored. Did you see the creator of Coca-Cola's racial diversity program quit yesterday? Asked Brandon M. Oh, no, I did not. Vaccines work. These are super chats, and then I will get to some calls. Says Lin Yen Chin. Vaccines work. Toward what end? What do they work at? But the virus they are most designed to harm are the ones inoculated. Yes, we are the virus, and they want to hinder, reduce, and remove. Disclaimer, I'm mostly black, so don't take my slow word. Observe it for yourself. Interesting suggestion, Lin Yen Chin. Look into it for yourself. I'm only a non-deep talk host. Look into it for yourself. I neither endorse nor condemn that claim. Thank you, Lin Yen Chin. Do you understand what he's trying to say? I mean, it's along the same lines, I think, is what he's suggesting. Is that article from, I think, Vaxx that I showed you guys yesterday about that. What was that woman calling herself? You remember what I'm talking about, Chris? I don't know if you caught what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'll get the...
From the Pocket headlines yesterday.
I'll get the photo.
This was the Vox.com headline. It reminds me of what they're talking about, right? Because they believe in overpopulation. And so do the eco-fascists, too. The ones who shot up the mosque over in New Zealand, Christchurch, New Zealand. There's a mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand. And the Walmart, I think, in El Paso, Texas, it was eco-fascists. Eco-fascists, meaning they're concerned about the ecology, the environment. We're overrun with immigrants making all kinds of babies. The Muslims make a lot of babies. The immigrants make a lot of babies. But Vox.com, shared by Pocket, shows this headline. I help people decide if they want to have kids. Here's my advice. And I haven't read this article, but it's from what they call a parenthood clarity therapist. A parenthood clarity therapist explains how she helps fence sitters make one of the most important decisions of their lives, right? About whether to have kids. It used to be God decides. Whoa, and then in the clouds, it has like a pacifier, a rubber ducky, a bottle, and a teddy bear. But those are clouds. I never caught that before. Ridiculous. There's all this propaganda and push. And, you know, like I said, so-called educated people don't end up having kids. Because the women wait until it's too late. And then they're miserable. Women are more miserable today, I heard. I heard it on the great Stefan Molyneux. That women today are the most depressed that they ever have been. More white baby engineers, says Lin Yan Chin. And he's referring to white babies. They just tend to be better engineers, I think is what his message is. More life quality for all peoples and far less of the maintenance-related engineering failure that you described. Yeah, good point, Lin Yan Chin. He's talking about, for example, this bridge or overpass, train overpass, railway overpass that collapsed in Mexico City, killing maybe dozens and injuring more than dozens or dozens. Wild. And that's true. All of this anti-white stuff is anti-human. It's the best thing for all Americans, for whites to remain the majority. And it just so happens, I don't know why, that whites, just barely most, vote a little bit more freedom-minded than the whole rest of the people. If you just look at their voting. Crazy, huh? Especially the men. Men. Anti-men, too. So anyway, anti-man is anti-baby. By the way. Just by the way. These people think that they're so compassionate and they're for killing babies. Think about that. It's weird. Okay. Let me get to Bobby in Texas. Been on hold forever. Wants to talk about Bill Gates and that sleazy, washed-up liberal rock star, Tom Morello. What's up, Bobby in Texas? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. James, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing fine, thank you.
Nice. Yeah, I was shed a tear when I heard about Bill Gates getting a divorce. Just so sad, right?
It sounds like you're being sarcastic.
Yeah, if there's anybody I could care less about their life, it's that dude.
Yeah.
I hope she takes him for everything he's got. I hope she just runs him through the cleaners.
Wow, don't wish ill on these people. That's like those people that want diversity and all that stuff in Israel because America's suffering. You want all countries to, like, be nationalistic. You want America to be nationalistic. I don't wish ill on that guy.
He's a globalist scum. He's buying up all our farmland to starve us to death. Who knows what he's got planned?
Right.
Take him for everything. loot his bank account. So,
Man, don't be vicious. Don't have ill will.
well, assuming she's going to take it, but I'm sure they've already worked out a settlement deal before it ever got announced. She'd probably
Right.
get some ridiculous amount of billions of dollars, but I'm sure they've already got it worked out.
Yeah, I don't know. What a mess.
I would imagine they're old. I'm sure that they.
Yeah, I was
No,
wondering
that's
how
good.
old. He's older than her, I guess.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know. I'm guessing 70s because I know he's way older than me. Like
He's 65.
40, 65. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, so.
And
yeah, I'm
she's
sure they do, but
56. She's 56. She's within the 10-year rule.
Oh yeah, she was a gold
But-
digger back then. I'm sure.
Dang. What age
I'm
did
sure-
they get? Did they
look
marry?
At Bill Gates, he's not like he's a trophy husband except for his bank account. Like he looks kind of like his parents. Like one of his parents might have been a frog.
Wow, so Bill Gates married at age 38, roughly, and she married at age 29. Okay, I thought of them as being older than that when they
Yeah.
got married. Interesting.
I don't remember when.
When I was,
But then,
it was in '94, I think.
Huh, okay.
Anyway,
Yeah, well, I mean, how much romance could there be with that dude? I mean, he looks like something off Sesame Street. So. I mean, he's
he's
I
soft.
can't imagine there.
He's kind of a, I
He's
don't
a
know.
strange looking dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he maybe he's the heart of gold. I doubt it, but
Nah.
I mean, and then we got Tom Morello. Like, I mean, he was like, I used to really like Rage Against the Machine. I like Zach De La Rocha, but he was just so political back then, even and when I didn't even care.
You're right.
Like he bothered me with his like. I didn't care about Bush. I wasn't like in Bush's corner, but he was just so negative about everything. Like it was like hard to watch.
Yeah.
It was even hard to like listen to their music after so long. I was like, man, I'd like them to find somebody different to play guitar. But
Interesting.
Zach De La Rocha was never like that. You know, he wasn't somebody that you really looked at as like just a political problem.
Oh, okay.
Tom Morello was.
Interesting.
I felt like that was kind of like a riff in their band was that Tom Morello was just over the top with his
Yeah.
political stuff. Seemed like to me. I don't know. Maybe
I think
Zach
I
was
remember
just-
seeing Tom Morello like shared a picture of his mother going to like the women's march or holding some cringy liberal sign, and he's like a mama's boy. I think his father is, what is that? Kenyan or something. And I think that they got divorced after a little while. Divorced parents, it's an epidemic, including from Kenyans. Sounds like Obama.
Yeah, he was so in for Obama, and I was so out for Obama. I was
Yeah.
like, ugh. I didn't
Yeah,
like
that guy
him
was
back-
pumping. This Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine, which was a 90s, maybe early 2000s group. He was promoting that white fragility book by Robin DiAngelo. By the way, I think somebody called me Italian. I'm not Italian, I don't think. Yeah, he was promoting that white fragility book by Robin DiAngelo, which has been, completely made fun of by Tucker Carlson and others. I haven't really talked about it because it's just so silly. And it was kind of old news for me. But he was promoting that book like a year ago, saying, "Oh, if you bristle at it, you're proving the thesis of this book because you're fragile, white, ridiculous." And he's half white.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a
There
mess.
was no way that I could sit through something where he was a part of at this point in my life. I'd just be like, oh,
Right.
this is gross.
Yeah. These people just marginalize themselves by turning, I don't want to say it, but turning evil, turning female-minded. What a shame.
It is a shame because he was super talented. I thought they were a very good band. Thought they had good sound, but like I said, it was just so political. It was lame to the point of like, oh, it's just not good.
It was that rap.
hard
It
to
was that
hear.
rap rock.
Yeah. I like that. I thought Zach De La Rocha had amazing, like, the way he performed, I thought he was like really good. I liked his sound.
Yeah.
I thought he was special in that regard as far as talent goes.
Yeah.
His message may not have been on par with mine, but I thought he had good skills.
Right.
I always even looked for some of his like after they broke up stuff, and some of it was okay. Most of it was kind of cringe.
Isn't that always the way? Or usually, like they make their best stuff when they're young and it's their debut, and people say it's they call it derivative, but it still like sounds so good. Morello is the worst guitarist ever, says Bibby42. Yeah, I know. Somebody else said some magazine said that he was in the top 50 or top 40 guitarists of all time or something like that. I don't know.
I was never that impressed. I remember kids that I grew up with that were like more interested in guitar and stuff, and they thought he was pretty good. They thought he was like they were great, and I would listen and be like, I'm not that impressed. I think most guitar players seem like they could do this.
Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate Zach De La Rothschild, says Pepe Chatelet.
I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Zach in Columbus there.
Yeah.
I heard his times yesterday. I wish I was younger. We would have had some epic 800 races. He sounded like his time was about a second faster than mine.
Nice. So you were hitting well under sub 2, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, I was about a 153. I think it was my best.
That is flying. That's like Obi. Hey, Obi Moore over here. Obi Moore was a promising young black guy who was pretty good, but I think that his life was kind of messed up, and so he kind of disappeared. He was racing against Michael Johnson back in the day. A high schooler, a black high schooler out of Muir High School over here. John Muir High School.
I was a little bit quicker than he was in the mile. Not much, just a little bit.
Then who? Oh, then Zach? Nice.
Yeah.
So what was that?
He got me in. I was running a 427.
Nice. That's flying, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I wish I didn't go to a big school, so I didn't really have any coaching in track. We just had it was our baseball coach.
Oh, wow.
Also coached track. So it was like, and I was more into basketball because I'm 6'6", so I was much more into playing basketball than running. But I had a good mile time, and I had Indian blood. I guess I'm a quarter Comanche.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if that helped my running ability or not, but I never got tired. I could run and run and run and run.
That's cool. Did you ever watch that movie Running Brave?
That's about
Billy Mills, I think.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I like that movie. But there was a guy who committed suicide in that movie. A lot of American Indians commit suicide.
Yeah. But I was a runner. I could just push myself. Like the pain, it didn't get to me like it did other people.
That's cool, man.
I was a kicker. Like
nice.
I may not be I wouldn't lead the whole way, but I could kick 600 yards, the last 600, and just be just barreling past people, running them out of gas.
For the lay person, that means when you sprint at the very end of the race to beat them. Kick.
And
That's called a kick.
I used to have a really strong kick. I'd kick so hard, and people my team, they would start running the track at the end, chasing me around, waving me on. I would just be running down the people in front of me and getting to the finish line.
That's cool.
It was pretty fun. It was a good time.
That's over in Texas that you were doing that?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool, man. Yeah, we had
fun.
I broke my collarbone before track season started in my senior year of high school. I was playing soccer with some friends, and my legs got tangled, and I landed right on my shoulder. I'm like, oh, I hope I didn't dislocate it. So I moved it around because I heard that hurts to dislocate your shoulder and try to set it in place. And sure enough, it broke my collarbone, snapped like this. And so I was actually, it was kind of fortunate because I was out for a big part, most of the season, really. And that was during a time of a whole lot of drama between coaches and everybody else. It was a big mess. So anyway.
Yeah, I would have liked to have tried out for cross country now, looking back at how everything was. But I was big into football, basketball, and baseball.
Oh, wow.
I played them all, but I even played golf. I was into track golf. I played tennis one year.
Man.
Because a lot of the girls were playing. But I liked play the extracurricular. I was all about it.
Yeah. Right on, man.
Like I said, there was really no coach for track to like teach me how to run. I learned from my grandpa. He was like, "This is how you do it." All right.
Yeah.
I'll try that out. But it was fun. It was a good time.
Well, cool, Bobby. It's good to hear from you. Interesting times.
Yeah, you too.
We'll
Thanks,
by the way, are
appreciate
you
it.
coming to the men's conference? I forget.
Man, I would love to, but I can't afford to. I'm a single dad, so
okay.
most of my money is tied up.
Yeah.
I need one of them sponsor women, some sugar mamas sponsor me to go.
Well, I mean, you can call the bond office if you have the time and just need help. See what we have to offer. I don't know, because there are some of these people sponsoring for people to go, but I don't know. It's worth a call.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I can come to Texas one of these years.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be fun too. Appreciate it, Bobby.
All right, man. Good to talk to you. Thanks.
Take care. 888-775-3773. Bonus Deers, says Jib Jab with the streamlabs.com/the Hake Report super chat. And Martin Zane says, I've noticed some people make Jesus more important than God. They say things like, you should seek Jesus. Jesus is the only one who can save us, etc. What do you think about that? Well, I think that he is supposed to be a savior and the only way back to God. But yeah, they do say, and when they say Jesus, I don't think that they know who they're talking about. Because these same so-called Jesus freaks are liberals, and they reject Jesus' brothers. They hate Jesse, they hate Trump, they hate men. Bunch of liberals. Or they're like male feminists and just weak, or even the so-called conservative Christians. That is true. They continue to sin. They reject everything that Jesus said, which was go and sin no more and all that. So they actually reject Jesus, even though they think that they're listening to him. It's so bad that it's cringy to even hear them say that name, say Jesus' name, because they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, Jesus desperately wants a relationship with you, they say. What? It's not a desperate girlfriend thing. It's weird. But it's just that fake emotional version of Christianity. Yeah, that was too much jogger talk. Next, says Shaggy Boy. Tom Morello, hello, says Cheesehead69. What's up, guys? I am back. I have an interesting point for you guys about doctors. I have a couple of tweets that I saw about doctors. And also related somewhat to this injuries, beta back, beta whatever. Some of us may be able to relate. Just some interesting points from this guy who appeared at one of the recent men's conferences. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe 5 years ago. Alexander Cortez is his last name. I was going to try to say all of his names, but I forget what they were. Alexander Cortez. AJA_Cortez with an S at the end, not the Z. He's a PhD. He appeared as one of the experts at one of the recent men's conferences. I think it was the conference in which Cernovich spoke. He says, I saw this tweet just yesterday. It was being retweeted. Doctors are rarely qualified to give advice on health enhancement. And most doctors don't lift. Do you even lift, bro? Is what some of you guys say. Or used to say. Maybe you don't say it anymore. And us normies are just barely adopting the phrase, and you guys have left it behind already. They are not the people you go to if you're looking to genuinely improve health beyond the just sick care baseline. That is true. I know a friend who used to copy off of me in school. He's a doctor and he's fat. And it's funny because his nephew, he's our age too, and he's like, I wouldn't listen to him. He's fat. His own family, his own kin that he grew up with. Well, partly because he grew up with him, right? And that is so true. And he also makes this point about injuries. And I'm quite familiar with this. And I've made this point too, that, doctors tend to be over cautious. And he makes this point. He's like a personal trainer type of a guy. And among other things, this guy, Alexander Cortez. The major issue for most injuries, quote unquote, is what he puts it in quotes for some particular reason, is people get told to rest. And he puts in parentheses, rest means you heal weaker. Wow, that stuck with me. And to avoid anything strenuous is what the doctors say, which leads to a loss of strength, he says. And most traditional rehab is terrible at restoring performance function as well. And he's talking about performance function in that you can be a human being, strong again, active again, bold again, and all that. An athlete again, which is what, in the good old days, people would heal up, walk it off, run it off. I heard from another guy, another expert in health, if you might say, Mark, a friend of Bond and a friend of mine and yours from San Diego. He said, sweat. The best way to get over these aches and pains and so-called injuries, like work to like exhaustion. Of course, like don't inflame the injury necessarily, but that gets it out. Isn't that a great point? Meanwhile, all these people want to protect you. Don't even go outside with this COVID thing, right? Don't even go outside. But I thought that sunshine and fresh air was good for you, and movement is good for your health, and going to the gym and exercising is good for building up your immune system. But no, they want to be overcautious. Such a shame. And that only leads to even more of that generalized anxiety disorder. I bet you if that woman were fit, I'm referring to that CIA lady. Remember that CIA lady with the wall that reminds her, oh, you are courageous. You are a leader. You are, you have insight. You are fair. You are blah, blah, blah. You are a scholar. Mija, you are worth it. That Hispanic lady who's a cisgender, a weirdo. I bet you if she were fit, because she's not exactly fit, maybe she would have less of that generalized anxiety disorder. Oh yeah, there was there's a lot of fake hate crimes going around, by the way. Ragnar0321 asked, did James talk about the synagogue vandal being caught and the suspect being of a certain race whose life matters? In other words, black. Yeah, there's these fake hate crimes, so typically perpetrated by blacks, gays, women. So common. Physical movement is the only way to get your lymphatic system to work, says Ragnar0321. Yeah. That's why I respect and salute those guys that recover. I bet you Joe from Phoenix, who's recovering from something that he said, is active, and that's why he's recovering well. I bet you. And Skip, too, getting more active. The body was made stronger than weak. Soy libs think. Anyway. Before I get back to calls, I wanted to make another point. Oh, yeah. Remember that story that you are probably familiar with it. If you were listening to the end of the Jesse Lee Peterson show in the third hour, there was this, I didn't know it. I thought it was a white lady, but it was a black lady. And I'm using the term lady very loosely. Cussing out. I don't know if she cussed. It seemed like she might have cussed. Might as well have been cussing, because she was berating a cop in LA, and it might have been in San Dimas. A nice area, San Dimas. I think of it as being nice. I don't know what it's like anymore. But Bill Melusion, based Bill from Bill Fox LA, at Bill Fox LA, follow him on Twitter. based. He's a local reporter. A Chad, you might say. He shared this footage, and he appeared on Tucker Carlson, I think, last night with it, of a body cam footage. And this cop, Hispanic cop, right? So many of them are in SoCal, right? California. Probably all up and down, all over the place. But this guy seems like he might have been a decent guy. He wasn't even issued a body cam, right? And I'm not necessarily for these things, but he invested in his own. He bought himself a body cam so he could protect himself from just such situations like this. And so this lady tells him, "You're always going to be a Mexican. You'll never be white. You know that?" And a Latino Los Angeles Sheriff's Department deputy, probably in the city of San Dimas, if I remember right, sent me his body cam video of a woman claiming to be a teacher launching into a so-called racist tirade. It's not racist. She's just looking down on everybody. Against him when he pulled her over in San Dimas. See, I told you it was San Dimas. San Dimas High School Football Rocks is like an Atari song that was made famous. It's a punk band from pop punk back in the day. She repeatedly calls him a murderer. And you heard that probably if you watched the Jesse Lee Peterson show in the third hour today. And that is so common. It was a black woman. I thought it was a white woman. According to JLP, it was a black woman. And if you look at her hands, it looks like she might have been black, yeah. And he knows the name of her, but he's not doxing her. He contacted her. She didn't respond. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures takes place in San Dimas. Oh, I didn't know that. I only watched the tail end of that movie because I was across the street at some birthday party watching Bambi. And I didn't even get to watch the whole movie Bambi. But I didn't want to watch Bambi. I would have preferred to watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, maybe. But anyway, I felt kind of betrayed by my family because I went to a birthday party with a sad movie because Bambi gets... I don't want to spoil the movie for those of you guys who haven't watched it. Anyway. Oh, rules. It's San Dimas High School football rules, not rocks, says C. Settlement. Thank you. No, Bill and Ted, Hake. Whatever. Okay. So anyways, or anyway, Julio Rosas, that guy from Daily Caller who's appeared on Fox News, if you ever watch Fox News, but he reports on Antifa, Black Lives Matter shenanigans, evil things that they do. He's reported on the border. He's been down at the border, witnessing a whole lot of crime down there and illegals coming across. And he's apparently a fairly conservative guy, I guess. Seems like a decent, as journalists go, a decent reporter. And he said, this is emblematic of a larger issue of viewing everything through a fake racial lens, or ethnic, and where people, white or black, meaning liberals, view Latinos as trying to prove themselves to be accepted among white people. And actually, the Hispanics do that too, by the way. I've experienced/seen so-called racism, he says, from woke/progressive people in a similar way as below. And he goes on and talks about it. He goes on and says, I've been called a race traitor and a coconut, which admittedly is funny, he says. Because brown on the outside, white on the inside. For reporting facts at Black Lives Matter riots and the border, I know I'll never be white. I don't go out there looking for white people's approval. I go out there to report what's happening. That's it. And that is what gets white people's approval. Because we like the truth, many of us. I'm proud of my Mexican heritage, he says, but I don't use it as a crutch to try to get ahead. I let my word speak for itself. Who cares if I'm Hispanic? As long as I report accurately, which I always strive to do. And that's all that should matter. How very white of you, Julio. Tying everything through one or a few attributes you happen to be born with is so tiresome. But some people, as shown above, have to view, not has to view. He's Hispanic. Have to view every action through that one or two lens. I don't know. It's all so boring and laugh-worthy. If it wasn't so sad, he says. Typical. And that's true. These people are... I remember my friends being like shocked that I was sort of conservative or whatever, not liberal, not for Obama. And he hangs out with Mexicans because it's about what's right. I don't care if you're illegal. It's still not, doesn't make it right. Anyway. We need Colin Flaherty back. Yes, indeed. Colin Flaherty reporting the truth, overriding the denial, deceit, and delusion. Overcoming the denial, deceit, and delusion in the mainstream media about Hake being the grammar police, about the black out of control aggression, anger against non-blacks, and against each other, honestly. What a mess. Quickly, in the last few minutes here, Rick in Hampton, Virginia, how are you doing?
James, my brother, man, good to hear from you, man.
Good to hear from you, too.
Man, have you heard of these two? Have you heard of a guy named E.W. Jackson?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, he's a conservative talk show host. He's on fire. He ran for lieutenant governor here in Virginia before.
Black guy or white?
Black guy.
Okay. Yeah, I might have heard of them. I might have heard of him. Thank you, man.
And keep an eye on that on North Carolina lieutenant governor. He's a black guy. He's a black conservative. He's a black Republican. But I always wanted to know how on earth can a state, if the governor is Democrat and the lieutenant governor is Republican, how they gonna get something done together?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it should be, when it comes to governors, whichever party's elected, the lieutenant governor should be a Democrat along with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting when they do that. I don't know. That's strange. Who knows though? Maybe it's a good balance, a good power balance though.
Yeah, could be, but most times,
Only if the governor is Democrat should the lieutenant governor be Republican. If the governor's Republican, the lieutenant governor should be Republican too.
Yeah, that's what I would want. Yeah, but you got two different parties and stuff. Our party is the Common Sense Party. And the Liberal Party just sits up there and whines and complains and stuff like that, man. It's amazing, man. Hey, what do you think about this shot, man? You think they're going to make it mandatory for everybody?
Oh, they're trying to. They're really trying to. The propaganda is aiming towards that. Yeah. They're going to try to do it. They're going to try to force it on the military members and everybody.
Right. They would get them first. They ought to be in the military, not to get the shot.
By hook or by crook, they're doing it. It's just like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, trying to control people's speech. The so-called private companies are going to try to do it just as much. And, your fellow Americans, many of them are so brainwashed, they don't want you to have freedom either. And so it's not just the government that's the danger here.
Well, you know what, too? Because even with the shot, they gonna make it like if you don't get the shot, you can't travel, you can't fly, all that good mess,
Yep, that's what I mean.
What's gonna happen?
It's a mess.
People can't. It's I don't know, man. Because I don't plan on taking a shot because I've been seeing people getting sick from that shit. Cause I'm like, if this shot's supposed to help you, why do it make you sick for 2 or 3 days? Yeah.
It's a mess. Yeah, look into it for yourself. Are you fit? Or are you fat?
Oh, no, I'm slim guy, 170, and probably got an extremely strong immune system.
Nice. Active? You're active?
I'm very active. Now, I do need to get back to exercise like I used to. I used to run.
Yeah.
My doctor even told me that, too, but I have slowed down. I try and move around as much as I can on the job, but that don't count because it don't raise your heart rate up,
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean...
So, I definitely got to get back into that for sure.
Yeah, definitely, Rick. Well, I appreciate it. It's good to hear from you.
You too, James. Love you guys. Keep up the good work.
All right.
Hake report. La, la, la.
Nice. Take care, man. Well, this has been the Hake Report. Shout out to Art in Ohio who wanted to talk about a 16... He had information on a 16-year-old girl who was shot. You have to get back with me tomorrow if you can, Art from Ohio and the rest of the callers. I cannot get to you. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for JLP's stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Thanks, guys, and take care.